It's the Euro 2020 semi-finals, and England are still in Euro 2020 in the semi-finals. 4-0 against Ukraine in Rome. Denmark coming up on Wednesday at 8 o'clock in the evening. I mean, I'm just so excited. Jimmy, I'm just going to let you talk about the Ukraine game. 4-0.
Yeah. I was going to make a weird noise like you at the start as well, but I thought I'd refrain. But yeah, no, it was very, very comfortable and enjoyable viewing, wasn't it, from start to finish? I think getting the early goal just settled everyone down. Ukraine came out for about half an hour or so, had no real quality in the second half. Slabhead scores a great header. Kane scores again. And we coast and we look great. And it was really, really lovely to watch. And 2 games to go. We're nearly there.
There was about 15 minutes where I was worried. Towards the end of the first half, Cole Walker made a few mistakes, gave away the ball cheaply and was caught napping defensively, which was the opposite of Cole Walker against Germany, really. But he does have a tendency to give the ball away in a dangerous area at least once a game, which is a slight worry. But yeah, apart from that, I've never been more comfortable in an England knockout game. The 2 goals straight after half-time, incredible. I loved Harry Maguire scoring because I think he's amazing. I loved that Jordan Henderson got his first goal. It was just brilliant. And Harry Kane's back in form. And we hope that he can continue that. I honestly think he's a good shout for the Golden Boot. He's only 2 behind now.
Yeah, it was weird. Obviously, he sat there before the game thinking, I'm quite nervous about this one. They're a side you're not sure about, not sure what you're going to get from them. And yeah, from the get-go, we controlled it. Obviously, as you say, back into the first half, they did look dangerous. I'll give them that. But after that, great goals. Kane had an absolute, he had a blinder and he could have got a hat-trick. That chance, second half. That goes in.
That led to the corner for Henderson's goal.
Exactly. And seeing Henderson score, that passion after scoring is just brilliant. And yeah, it was just all round. It just makes you so happy and think, do you know what? We can win this tournament, but we've got a massive game coming up.
There's something about this England team, isn't there? They're just, I mean, you can say uniting the nation. For me, it's the light at the end of what's been a shit 18 months. The whole COVID pandemic was awful. And this has been sort of the thing we needed. It's almost like rehabilitation for us.
Agreed. And yeah, at times you might question Southgate's tactics and team selections, but every game he's got it spot on. And I trust that man implicitly. 2 semi-finals in the last 2 tournaments. He's done a blinder. And I really, really hope we can just get to the final and beat Italy. Come on.
Speaking of tactics, 2 changes were made. Trippier and Saka dropped out. Saka picked up a knock on Friday, so he didn't make the squad. But Sancho and Mason Mount came back in. Mason Mount coming in after having to self-isolate after the Billy Gilmore palaver. I think is the best word to describe it. But let's focus on Sancho, because Mount was always sort of going to start when he was fit. Do you think he took his chance? Do you think he's forced his way in for the next game?
I've seen kind of different. I've obviously listened to a lot of podcasts after the game, and a lot of people had different thoughts. I thought he did all right. Yeah. In bits and pieces in the first half, he took players on a couple of 1-2s. He kind of looked quite lively. But I'd probably put Saka straight back in again if he's fit. He's the wonder boy of the tournament wearing an England shirt, isn't he? And I like Saka. Sancho. He did nothing wrong, but I think Saka's coming back in.
Yeah, I think the problem is he did okay. He needed to have an incredible game. He needed a couple of assists, maybe a goal. Whereas what Saka did in the game against Czech Republic especially, and then in the first half against Germany, was he just lit the place up. And I felt Sancho, again, played well. There was some really nice touches and really nice moments, but for me, he didn't light the place up like he needed to keep his spot in the starting lineup. So, I'm going to say I think he'll drop out. Mason Mount's an interesting one because he pressed well. Mason Mount does a lot of busy stuff that you don't necessarily notice. He doesn't necessarily make the highlights real, but I think he's such an important cog in the way that midfield plays.
He is, especially with that system. He's massively important in that system. And as you say, he is lively. He does get involved. You don't see a lot of him at times, but he is there. And as you say, he's a really, really important player in that side. If we did change system, would you start him? Who knows? But I don't think we're going to change system. This is it now.
I do have to say, as much as we're praising Southgate, we said we wouldn't get on his back, I do have one gripe with Southgate after the Ukraine game. I'm a little bit annoyed that Ben Chilwell didn't get to come on for Luke Shaw when he brought Trippier on at left back. I get that we were 4-0 up, but we were 4-0 up, we were cruising. Ukraine weren't laying a finger on us. It didn't need Trippier coming in to shore it up, and it would have been nice to see Chilwell get a start in the tournament, considering, and I think he missed out against the Czech Republic. I think he probably would have started that game. I was a little bit disappointed with that.
Yeah, agreed. I think agreed. I just think, I know Shaw's done okay. Fair play for the 2 assists, but Chilwell could have done that. And I actually think Chilwell's the better all-round footballer. But his COVID issues, the fact he's missed games, has meant he hasn't really had a chance. But yeah, bless him. Never mind. He'll get winner's medal.
I wouldn't be dropping Shaw for him for the next game. I just would have liked to have seen him get some minutes in the tournament. And I almost felt they could have done the same with Conor Cody coming on for Harry Maguire. It was so easy, but the clean sheet was so important. Actually, speaking of clean sheet, first wobbles from Jordan Pickford, and I honestly think it's because it was so comfortable that he lost a bit of concentration.
Yeah, agreed. I think it was one of those games, isn't it, where you're just so much better than a really average opposition that you do at times have those moments where something untoward does happen. And agreed, he's had a fantastic tournament. He's probably been goalie of the tournament. And I want him he needs to keep those high levels up because we've got bigger tests coming up.
I don't know. Jan Sommer's had a pretty good tournament, the Switzerland goalkeeper.
He's out now, mate. Doesn't matter.
He's gone. Can't be in team of tournaments. He's out. This is not allowed. Right, another clean sheet. England haven't conceded yet in the tournament. Defence was meant to be the weak part of the team, but Southgate's got it spot on again. Denmark next, Wednesday at 8, as I said earlier, back at Wembley, a pretty full Wembley. I think, is it 45,000 again?
60, yeah.
Wow. Okay, 60,000 Wembley. This is huge pressure for this England team because Denmark, as much as people have sort of written them off throughout the tournament, especially when Eriksen, who's supposedly their star man, had the problems that have maybe ended his career, but definitely ended his tournament. They've done really well, and I thought they were excellent in the game against Czech Republic. Their wing-backs or their full-backs are fantastic. The cross for the second goal with the outside of the foot was absolutely delicious. I think this is a good side, and we've also got to remember we lost them in the Nations League a year ago. They're not a pushover.
No, agreed. I think it's, I was hoping that Czech Republic might have come through that game because obviously Denmark are the greater threat. And as you say, after a difficult start in that first game, they've gone from strength to strength, and players who I didn't think were that great, Dolberg, you've got players like that who have really come to the fore. And they're a decent side, they're a well-organised side, and on paper we should be winning this game. We are the favourites. It's a big tag, but they can cause issues, and we've got to be careful.
Well, I think the one thing about Southgate is he seems to set up teams very well, whether they're favourites or not, to respect the opposition. And that's what we've said to be the detriment to England a few times over the last few years, playing a back three in games we didn't feel like we should have and seemingly being a bit too defensive. But it now feels like it's a process that has culminated in good performances in the tournament. Hopefully that can carry on against Denmark. You mentioned what was his name? Centre forward. I just completely blanked.
Dolberg
scoring all the goals. Another couple of goals for him against Czech Republic. Any other danger men? Any other players you're looking at and thinking these are decent players that we need to be wary of?
We've obviously got a lot of household names. Obviously, Højbjerg's had a great tournament. Delaney scored in the last game. They've had Damsgaard come in, I believe, for Eriksen, who's done really well. He's a really good up-and-coming player. The fullback who put the ball in, I can't remember his name. Great ball. And all around, they're just a very, very good side. And they are the type of side that we've got to play well to beat them, and they've got to be at maximum to beat us. Come on.
Well, the thing about the team, unlike Ukraine, this team has got players that could potentially make not only England's squad, but England's starting lineup. I think that I'm Tottenham fan, so I'm very biased, but Pierre-Emile Højbjerg has been fantastic for Spurs last season. And I think he would have been potentially, if he was English, potentially partnering Declan Rice in midfield for England. I think he's got the ability, and he played well enough through the season. Their fullbacks look great, like I mentioned before. Dolberg, I'm not sure. He might have been a squad player. Eriksen would have been in the squad probably, but we've got some very good young attacking midfield as well. And that Delaney looks like a handy holding midfielder too. So it's a good side. It's a good side. And I think that the one thing about Southgate is he seems to set up teams very well, whether they're favourites or not, to respect the opposition. And that's what we've said to be the detriment to England a few times over the last few years, playing a back three in games we didn't feel like we should have and seemingly being a bit too defensive. It now feels like it's a process that has culminated in good performances in the tournament. Hopefully that can carry on against Denmark. it's going to be interesting to see. It's also going to be interesting to see how they set up, because they played a back three throughout the tournament. But against Wales, they adapted it when it wasn't going well and pushed Christensen up to play just in front of what became a back four, and it worked really well. Are you expecting them to stick with the back three?
I expect so. I think we're obviously going to dominate the ball. I think we did very well in the last game where we scored early, and we made Ukraine have to completely rethink what they were trying to do. And I am worried that if we get half an hour in, half time, an hour in, and it's still 0-0, it's getting a bit nervy. They grow into it. You never know. But the hope is we dominate the ball, we create chances, and we've got Harry Kane in form, who is going to get to Golden Boot and bang us to the final.
And you're definitely not changing the system. You're not doing what we did against Germany and matching them up with three at the back and wing backs.
This is what Southgate does, isn't it? He looks at every side on paper and goes, what is their strength? Wing backs. Let's match it up. Let's dominate it and let's go and win the game. And he might do that. Their fullbacks have been very, very good in the tournament, and that is where their danger comes from. And I've got quite a big kind of. I think Eriksen not being there has probably helped them slightly, in a really horrible way to say it. But I think Eriksen a lot of the time slows the play down, and I think someone like Damsgaard coming in, young, gung-ho, give it a go, I think that's made a massive difference to their side, and that's obviously not a great thing to say, but
we're looking purely from a footballing standpoint, not from a actually having a soul standpoint. No. How are you lining up then? How do you think how would you line up? How do you think Southgate's going to line
up? I think he's only going to make one change, and that is Saka coming in. That's it.
Yeah, Saka, Sancho. It's all I do as well. And I've said it every week. Part of me is tempted to go Trippier for Walker, just because of those little lapses in concentration that we saw. We can't afford that in this game. Denmark have been scoring goals, so they are way more threatening going forward. But I've got a feeling that Southgate potentially is going to surprise us and pick maybe Grealish, but I think he might go for a three at the back, and I think he might do what he did against Germany and bring Trippier back in just because of that threat down the wings. I think he'll see that, and the reason you have to go for Saka and Sterling is because their wing backs will push forward, get pace in behind them. Vestergaard's slow, Christensen's not slow, and Kjaer's about 50. So you need to exploit those areas, and hopefully we can do it. And I'm not going to say I'm overconfident, but I'm quietly confident about this one.
Yeah, great. As you say, either system works. I think the doing 3-4-3 against Germany, it coming off and us getting through the game was a huge, huge thing. And as you say, runners past Kane is a massive thing at the moment, and he's coming to life more, which is great. And if we can exploit the gaps behind the fullbacks, we've got a really good chance of winning this game. I do think Grealish will come off the bench. That is his role at the moment, and every time he does come on, he does brilliantly. So I'm quite happy with that.
I think another reason I think we might play 3-4-3 is I think we're quite likely to play 3-4-3 in the final against the supposed better sides. Just quickly on the final, before we do the score predictions for England's Denmark, who do you think we're going to meet in the final, Spain or Italy?
Italy.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Italy as well. They look really good, even with Spinazzola going out injured, who's been one of our favourite players this tournament. All right, score prediction: England, Denmark, Wembley, 8 o'clock Wednesday night. What's it going to be?
Fans behind us, 60,000, screaming it's coming home, 2-0, home win.
1-0. I'm predicting 1-0 every week, but I think it's going to be tight, but I just feel like we've got enough. And we're both predicting us to get to the final without conceding a goal, which would just be absolutely incredible. I'm so excited. We'll talk to you after Wednesday. Win, lose, whatever happens, but we're hoping we win. Two things left to say. Come on, England. And
come on, England.